In the year 2347, humanity had reached the outer edges of the galaxy. Advanced technology allowed them to explore distant planets, but the dangers of the cosmos remained ever present. The SS Horizon, a sleek exploration ship, glided silently through the inky void, its metallic hull reflecting the distant stars. Captain Elara Thorne stood in the ship's bridge, her sharp gaze fixed on the holographic display in front of her. The vibrant blue lines of the star charts danced across the screen, charting their course toward an uncharted planet known only as Theta 7. The mission was clear: explore the planet for potential resources and, if possible, establish a connection with any life forms they might encounter. Elara was a seasoned captain, known for her tenacity and bravery. She had faced hostile environments, treacherous terrain, and unforeseen challenges throughout her career. But as she peered into the endless darkness of space, a nagging feeling of unease settled in her gut. "Are we ready for entry, Chief Engineer?" Elara called out, her voice steady yet tinged with anticipation. Rylan, the ship's chief engineer, adjusted the controls with a focused expression. "All systems are operational, Captain. We'll breach the atmosphere in 10 minutes. "Good. Prepare for atmospheric entry," Elara commanded, feeling the familiar rush of adrenaline as they approached the unknown. The crew, a mix of scientists and engineers, busied themselves with their tasks. Among them was Dr. Meera Patel, the ship's xenobiologist, who was engrossed in her research notes. She had devoted years to studying potential life forms in hostile environments, and this mission was a culmination of her life's work. "Meera, any insights on Theta 7? Elara asked, glancing back at her. Meera looked up, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. "Preliminary scans suggest a rich ecosystem, with the potential for both flora and fauna. There are signs of complex biological systems. I can't wait to see what we find." As the ship entered the planet's atmosphere, a violent turbulence shook the vessel. The alarms blared, and the holographic display flickered as Elara gripped the control panel. "Rylan! What's happening?" she shouted, her heart racing. "Unexpected turbulence." Rylan replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "It's more unstable than the scans indicated. I'm compensating." The ship shuddered violently, and Elara fought to maintain control as the horizon plunged through the clouds. She could feel the heat building around them, the air pressure shifting as they descended. "Brace for impact," she yelled, her voice commanding. With a deafening roar, the ship finally broke through the clouds, and a breathtaking sight unfolded below them. A vast landscape stretched out, dotted with lush forests, towering mountains, and shimmering lakes. But the beauty was marred by the chaotic storms that raged across the surface. "Captain, we're losing stability," Rylan shouted, straining against the controls. Elara gritted her teeth, adrenaline surging through her veins. "Pull up. We need to find a safe landing zone." The ship pitched and rolled, the turbulence throwing the crew around like ragdolls. Elara fought to regain control, her focus unwavering. "Steady. I need you to steady the engines," she barked, her eyes fixed on the horizon. "We can't let this planet claim us." With a final surge of power, the horizon leveled out, skimming just above the treetops. The ground rushed toward them, and Elara spotted a clearing in the forest, a potential landing zone. "Now! Prepare for landing," she shouted, guiding the ship down. With a bone-rattling impact, the ship touched down, skidding to a halt. The alarms blared, and the crew let out a collective sigh of relief, the immediate danger past. As the crew gathered themselves, Elara took a moment to steady her breath. They had made it, but the challenges were only beginning. "Status report," she ordered, moving to the control panel to assess the damage. Rylan checked the readings, his expression grave. "We've sustained some damage to the stabilizers, but we can make it operational for exploration. It'll take time to repair, though." Elara nodded, her mind racing. "Get started on the repairs." The rest of us will gear up and prepare for exploration. We need to understand this planet and what it holds. Dr. Mira approached, her excitement barely contained. This is a unique opportunity, Captain. If there are life forms here, we must document them. The potential for discovery is incredible. Elara smiled at Myra's enthusiasm but felt a sense of caution. We need to be careful. We don't know what kind of environment we're stepping into. It may be beautiful, but it could also be dangerous. As they donned their exploration gear and prepared to disembark, Elara felt a surge of determination. They were explorers, after all, venturing into the unknown, seeking knowledge and understanding. But there was a nagging voice in the back of her mind, a sense of foreboding that this planet was more than it seemed. The hatch opened with a hiss, revealing the vibrant world outside. The air was thick with moisture, the scent of earth and foliage enveloping them as they stepped out of the ship. Sunlight filtered through the treetops, casting dappled shadows on the ground. As they ventured away from the horizon, the crew began to explore their surroundings, marveling at the lush greenery and the vibrant colors of alien flora. But beneath the beauty, the atmosphere felt charged, as if the planet itself was alive, watching them, waiting. Elara led the way, her senses on high alert. The thrill of discovery mingled with an underlying tension. They were not just here to explore, they were here to survive. Stay close, she instructed, keeping her eyes peeled for any signs of danger. We need to establish a perimeter and gather data before the storms return. But as they moved deeper into the forest, a low rumble echoed through the trees, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. Elara exchanged worried glances with her crew, a sense of dread settling in. What was that? Jake asked, concern etched on his face. I don't know, Elara replied, her voice tight. But we need to find shelter and figure it out. Let's move. They quickened their pace, the beauty of the landscape now overshadowed by a growing sense of unease. Whatever lay ahead, they were determined to face it together. Little did they know, the true nature of Theta-7 was about to reveal itself, a world where survival would not only depend on their skills and courage but also on confronting the darkest parts of their own souls. The forest surrounding them felt alive in ways that unnerved Captain Elara Thorne. As the crew ventured deeper into the alien wilderness of Theta-7, every step seemed to stir the world around them. The air felt dense, thick with moisture and energy, as though the very ground pulsed beneath their feet. Sunlight barely pierced the thick canopy of trees, casting long shadows that danced ominously in the breeze. Elara's grip tightened around the handle of her plasma rifle as she led the group through the dense foliage. Every instinct in her body was screaming at her to be cautious, but the thrill of discovery pushed her forward. Theta-7 was unlike any planet she had encountered before, wild, untamed, and teeming with an ancient power that hummed just beneath the surface. Captain, are you seeing this? Dr. Mira Patel's voice cut through the tense silence, her excitement palpable. She knelt beside a large, glowing plant, its bioluminescent tendrils reaching toward the light. These plants, they're reacting to our presence. It's like they can sense us. Elara paused, looking down at the strange flora. The plant's glow seemed to intensify as Mira reached out, the tendrils brushing against her suit. It wasn't just the plants, everything in the forest seemed to hum with life, an interconnected ecosystem that was both mesmerizing and unsettling. I've never seen anything like it, Mira continued, her voice filled with awe. It's as if the entire environment is alive, connected through some sort of biological network. We need to be careful, Elara warned, her eyes scanning the trees. We don't know how this ecosystem functions. It could be hostile. Rylan, who had been quietly surveying the surroundings, stepped forward. The energy readings are spiking the deeper we go. It's not just the flora, there's something else here. Something powerful. Elara nodded, her mind racing. The storm that had nearly destroyed their ship was clearly no ordinary weather phenomenon. She could feel it in the air, a lingering tension, like the calm before a storm. We need to stay alert, she said, her voice firm. Theta 7 is more dangerous than we anticipated. As they pressed on, the forest grew denser, the trees towering above them like silent sentinels. The further they ventured, the more alien the landscape became. The plants pulsed with an eerie glow, and strange sounds echoed from the depths of the jungle, unfamiliar calls that sent shivers down the crew's spines. Jake, walking behind Elara, muttered under his breath, "This place gives me the creeps. Feels like we're being watched." Elara couldn't shake the feeling either. Every movement, every rustle of leaves felt charged with unseen eyes tracking their progress. It was as if the planet itself was observing them, waiting for something. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the ground, stopping the crew in their tracks. The tremor was subtle at first, but it quickly grew in intensity, the ground beneath their feet shifting uneasily. "Everyone, hold steady," Elara shouted, steadying herself against a nearby tree. The tremors intensified, sending birds screeching into the sky. The forest seemed to come alive in a cacophony of noise as the ground shook violently. Elara could feel the pulse of the planet deep below, an unsettling, rhythmic thrum, as though something ancient and immense was stirring beneath the surface. Then, just as quickly as it had started, the tremor stopped. The forest fell silent, the air thick with tension. "What the hell was that?" Jake asked, his voice tight with fear. "I don't know," Elara replied, her own heart pounding in her chest. "But it's coming from below us. This planet, something is waking up." Rylan knelt down, placing his hand on the ground, his face pale. "It felt like the whole planet is alive, Captain. Not just the flora, but the very earth beneath us. It's like the planet is reacting to something." Elara took a deep breath, her mind racing. Theta 7 was more than just an uncharted planet, it was a living entity, and they had disturbed it. But what was it hiding? "Captain," Mira called out, her voice urgent. She was standing a few feet ahead, her eyes wide with alarm. "You need to see this." Elara rushed over to where Mira stood, her heart pounding with anticipation. As she reached the edge of a clearing, her breath caught in her throat. Before them stood a massive structure, half buried in the earth, its surface covered in strange, pulsating symbols. The architecture was unlike anything they had ever seen, alien, ancient, and ominous. "What is that?" Jake asked, his voice barely a whisper. It's some kind of building," Mira said, her voice trembling with excitement and fear. "But it's not human. This is proof of intelligent life on Theta 7. Elara's mind raced as she stared at the structure. The symbols glowed faintly, their light flickering like a heartbeat. She could feel the energy radiating from it, a powerful force that resonated deep within her. "This is why we're here," Elara murmured, her eyes locked on the alien structure. "To uncover the truth. Whatever's inside that building, it's the key to understanding this planet." Rylan stepped forward cautiously, his hand hovering near his weapon. "But what if it's dangerous, Captain? We don't know what's inside." Elara nodded, her mind sharp with caution. "We'll proceed carefully. But we can't ignore this. We need to know what's inside." As they approached the structure, the air grew thick with anticipation. The symbols on the walls pulsed faster, responding to their presence. It was as if the building itself was alive, sensing their approach. Mira knelt beside one of the glowing symbols, her fingers tracing the alien markings. "It's a language, or some kind of code. It's beautiful." "Beautiful or not, we need to stay on guard," Elara said, scanning their surroundings. The unease that had settled in her gut earlier had intensified. Something about this place felt wrong. The entrance to the structure loomed ahead, a dark, gaping maw that beckoned them inside. Elara motioned for the crew to follow her as she stepped closer, her hand resting on her plasma rifle. Every instinct told her that once they crossed that threshold, there would be no turning back. With a deep breath, she led the crew through the entrance, the air inside cold and still. The walls of the corridor were lined with more glowing symbols, their light casting eerie shadows as they moved deeper into the building. Suddenly, the ground trembled again, and a low, otherworldly hum filled the air. The symbols on the walls pulsed faster, as if they were reacting to the planet's awakening. "What's happening?" Mira asked, her voice tight with fear. "I don't know," Elara replied, gripping her rifle tightly. "But we need to keep moving." As they ventured deeper into the structure, the hum grew louder, and the symbol's glow became almost blinding. Elara could feel the weight of the planet pressing down on them, a suffocating presence that gnawed at her nerves. Then, without warning, the corridor opened into a vast chamber. In the center of the room stood an enormous, glowing orb suspended in the air, its surface rippling with energy. The hum intensified, filling the chamber with a deafening roar. Elara's heart raced as she stepped closer to the orb, her eyes wide with awe and terror. This is it. The source of the energy. The crew stood frozen, their eyes locked on the glowing orb. It was beautiful, powerful, and terrifying all at once. But as Elara reached out toward it, a voice echoed in her mind, a voice not her own, but ancient and cold. "You have awakened us," the voice whispered. "Now, you must face the storm." The voice reverberated in Elara's mind, a chilling echo that sent shivers down her spine. She felt the weight of its presence, ancient and powerful, as if the very essence of Theta 7 was alive and aware of their intrusion. What was that?" Mira stammered, her eyes wide with fear and confusion. "I don't know," Elara replied, her voice barely above a whisper. She felt an inexplicable pull toward the glowing orb, as if it was calling to her, inviting her to understand its secrets. "But we need to be cautious. Whatever this is, it's tied to the planet." Jake, still gripping his makeshift weapon, took a step closer to Elara. "Captain, this could be dangerous. We don't know what it can do." Elara nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "We need to gather data. This orb might hold the key to understanding the storms and the life forms on this planet." As they stood there, the orb pulsed rhythmically, casting flickering shadows across the chamber. The air around them grew thick with energy, making it difficult to breathe. Elara felt the tension in her chest, a mix of excitement and dread. "Mira, can you scan the orb?" Elara asked, her eyes never leaving the mysterious object. "On it." Mira quickly activated her portable scanner, the device beeping as it collected data. "It's emitting massive amounts of energy, but the readings are unstable. It's like it's fluctuating between dimensions." "I need you all to stay alert," Elara said, her tone serious. "This could be the reason for the storms. If we can understand it, we might be able to harness its power or at least protect ourselves from it." Just then, the orb began to shimmer, and the hum grew louder, vibrating through the chamber. Elara instinctively stepped back, her heart racing. "Everyone, stay behind me." Suddenly, a blinding flash of light erupted from the orb, filling the chamber with an intense glow. Elara shielded her eyes, feeling the heat radiate from the energy source. The light enveloped them, and for a moment, reality seemed to blur around the edges. When the light finally faded, they found themselves in a different space altogether, a vast expanse filled with swirling colors and shapes that defied comprehension. It felt like they were floating in a dream, untethered from reality. "What is this?" Jake gasped, his voice echoing in the void. Elara looked around, her eyes wide with wonder. "I don't know, but it feels alive." In the distance, figures began to materialize, hazy shapes that glimmered like stars. They moved gracefully, their forms shifting and changing as they approached. "Mira, what are you getting?" Elara asked, trying to remain calm. "Nothing, it's like my scanner is completely overloaded. I can't make sense of any of this." Mira replied, her voice filled with panic. Elara felt a surge of determination. "We need to communicate. Whatever these beings are, they might hold the answers we're looking for. As the figures drew closer, Elara summoned her courage. "We come in peace," she called out, her voice strong despite the uncertainty. "We seek knowledge about this planet and the storms that threaten us." The figures paused, their forms shimmering as they regarded her. Then, one of them stepped forward, a being that appeared more defined than the others. It had elongated limbs and a radiant glow that pulsed in harmony with the orb. "You have awakened the heart of Theta 7, it spoke, its voice resonating in Elara's mind. "You tread upon sacred ground, and your presence disturbs the balance." "What do you mean?" Elara asked, feeling a mix of awe and fear. "We didn't intend to disrupt anything. We're explorers, seeking to understand this world." The being tilted its head, studying her. "Your kind has sought knowledge without regard for the consequences. The storms are not merely weather, they are the manifestations of this planet's wrath. Then how can we restore the balance?" Elara pressed, her heart racing. "We didn't come to harm anything. We want to learn, to coexist." The being's glow intensified, casting an ethereal light around them. "To restore balance, you must confront the darkness within yourselves. The storm is a reflection of your fears, your doubts. Only by facing these shadows can you hope to heal the rift." Elara's mind whirled with the implications. "But how do we do that?" "You must journey into the heart of the storm," the being replied, its voice echoing like a distant thunderclap. "Only then will you understand the true nature of Theta 7. You will face your greatest fears and find the strength to overcome them." A chill ran down Elara's spine. The heart of the storm. The idea was both terrifying and alluring. But she couldn't ignore the urgency of their situation. If they didn't act soon, they might never leave this planet. "We'll do it," she declared, her voice resolute. "We'll face the storm. But we need your guidance. We can't do this alone." The being's form shimmered as it regarded her. "You possess the will to seek the truth. But be warned, the path will not be easy. The storm will test you in ways you cannot imagine." As the beings began to fade back into the swirling colors, Elara felt a sense of clarity wash over her. They had a mission, a chance to confront the storm and uncover the secrets of Theta 7. "Captain." Jake's voice pulled her back to the present. "Are we ready for this?" Elara looked at her crew, determination shining in her eyes. "We have no choice. We either confront this storm together, or we become victims of it. We're explorers, and we must embrace the unknown." With their resolve strengthened, they felt the ground shift beneath them as the visions faded. They were back in the chamber, the orb pulsing softly in the center. The crew exchanged glances, a silent understanding passing between them. "Let's prepare," Elara said, her voice steady. "We'll face whatever lies ahead as a team. We're not just fighting the storm, we're fighting for our survival, and for the future of this planet." As they gathered their gear and made their way back toward the entrance, Elara felt a sense of purpose fill her. They were on the brink of something monumental, and together, they would face the challenges of Theta 7 head-on. With their minds racing and hearts pounding, Elara and her crew prepared for the daunting journey into the heart of the storm. The chamber felt charged with energy as they gathered their equipment and strategized. The atmosphere outside had shifted, the winds howled like a chorus of angry spirits, and the ground trembled with the impending chaos. "Are we ready for this?" Jake asked, his voice laced with uncertainty. "We don't have a choice," Elara replied, her voice steady. "The storm is a reflection of our fears, and if we're going to survive, we need to face it head-on. Together." Dr. Meera Patel adjusted her gear, her eyes filled with determination. "I've studied the storm patterns, and while we can't predict every fluctuation, we can prepare for the worst. We need to stick together and support each other." Elara nodded, appreciating Myra's scientific approach. "We'll move in formation. Keep the lines of communication open, and if anyone feels overwhelmed, signal immediately. We can't let fear take hold. With their plan in place, the crew stepped back outside, the swirling winds whipping around them like a living entity. The trees bent under the force of the gusts, and the ground shook beneath their feet. The beauty of Theta 7 had transformed into a raw, chaotic landscape, as if the planet itself was warning them to turn back. "Stay close," Elara shouted, pushing through the thick vegetation. "We need to reach the storm's edge before it engulfs us." As they moved deeper into the wilderness, the winds howled louder, and the air crackled with energy. The ominous storm loomed ahead, dark clouds swirling like a tempest, illuminated by flashes of lightning that split the sky. "We're getting close," Jake yelled, his voice barely audible over the roar of the wind. "It's right in front of us." They reached a clearing just at the edge of the storm, the air thick with tension. The swirling mass of clouds was alive, pulsating with raw power. Elara could feel the energy vibrating through her body, both exhilarating and terrifying. "Everyone, prepare for the worst," Elara commanded, taking a deep breath. "Remember, we're not just fighting the storm. We're confronting our fears. Stay focused." As they stood at the precipice, the winds whipped around them like an angry beast. The sound was deafening, drowning out all thought. Elara felt her heart race, a mix of excitement and fear coursing through her veins. The storm's edge shimmered with energy, and she could see shapes swirling within, the echoes of their fears, memories of doubt and pain manifesting in the chaos. "I can't do this," a voice cried out from within the group. It was one of the newer crew members, barely holding on to his composure. "Stay strong. Focus on what you came here for," Elara shouted, her voice cutting through the cacophony. With a deep breath, she stepped forward into the storm. The moment she crossed the threshold, the world around her transformed. The chaos was no longer just a storm, it was a whirlwind of colors and emotions, a tapestry of their innermost struggles laid bare. As she moved deeper into the storm, images flashed before her eyes, memories of failure, moments of fear, and the haunting faces of those she had lost in her journey. Each vision tugged at her, threatening to pull her into despair. "No," she yelled, clenching her fists. "I won't let you take me." The storm responded, swirling violently as though testing her resolve. It raged around her, but Elara fought against it, focusing on the bond she shared with her crew, their determination, their shared purpose. "Remember why we're here," she shouted, her voice echoing through the chaos. "We're not alone in this fight." Jake and Mira joined her, stepping into the storm alongside her. "We're with you, Captain," Jake yelled, his determination shining through the darkness. As the crew united, the storm began to shift. The energy crackled and hummed around them, responding to their combined strength. They were no longer just individuals, they had become a cohesive force, facing the storm together. "I can feel it," Mira exclaimed, her eyes wide with realization. "It's reacting to our emotions. We need to confront it head-on." Elara nodded, her heart swelling with pride for her crew. "Let's face our fears. Whatever it takes." With renewed determination, they pushed deeper into the storm. The whirlwind of colors and shapes surrounded them, but instead of retreating, they embraced the chaos. One by one, they confronted their darkest moments, fear, regret, loss, and turned them into fuel for their resolve. "I won't let fear control me," Elara shouted, her voice rising above the roar of the storm. The winds howled in response, swirling around her like a tempestuous embrace. As they pressed forward, the storm began to change. The violent chaos transformed into a brilliant display of light, the colors swirling harmoniously, illuminating the darkness. "Look!" Jake cried out, pointing to the center of the storm. "It's opening up." A path emerged before them, leading to the heart of the tempest, a brilliant, radiant core that pulsed with energy. The storm had shifted from a force of chaos to one of beauty, revealing its true nature. We can do this. Elara shouted, leading her crew toward the light. Together. As they reached the core, a wave of warmth enveloped them, washing away their fears and doubts. The light filled their hearts with clarity and understanding, and in that moment, they felt connected to the planet and each other. The voice they had heard before echoed in their minds, now gentle and soothing. You have faced the darkness within. The storm is a reflection of your strength. Embrace it, and you shall find your purpose. Elara felt a surge of energy, a connection to the very essence of Theta 7. The storms were not just obstacles, they were part of the planet's cycle, a dance of creation and destruction. And they were part of it. With newfound understanding, Elara and her crew stood together at the heart of the storm, united in purpose and strength. They had confronted their fears, and in doing so, they had awakened something within themselves. As the storm began to calm, the vibrant colors swirling around them faded into a soft glow. The chaos transformed into a serene beauty, and the crew felt the weight of their burdens lift. Elara turned to her crew, a smile spreading across her face. We did it. Together. And as they stood in the heart of the storm, they knew that their journey on Theta 7 was just beginning. The challenges ahead would be great, but with unity and resilience, they would face whatever lay in store.